Welcome back to day 5 of the dopamine detox I've been doing. And in the video today, we're going to be talking about, is it even good to be conscious all the time? Because I had this idea of like, can I reach 100% consciousness? And I did some research, I consulted some books, I talked to ChatGPT, and through all of this, here are my notes on it. So the brain is automated for efficiency, and it automates repetitive tasks to free up cognitive resources for more demanding activities. This is why habits and routines are essential. Basically, if you tried to be conscious for the whole day, your brain would like overstress itself. So then this reminded me of something from The Greatest Salesman in the World, where it talked about the importance of habits. So if I can't be fully conscious for the whole day, if that's just not even something that's possible as a human, if that's not something desirable to have your brain do, then how do you, like, what do you do? How do you make sure you are performing to the best of your abilities? And I'm going to read an excerpt from the book. In truth, the only difference between those who fail and those who have succeeded lies in the difference of their habits. Good habits are the key to success. Bad habits are the unlocked door to failure. Thus, I will form good habits and become their slaves. Their slave. I am slave to my habits, as are all grown men. I have surrendered my free will to the years of accumulated habits, and the past deeds of my life have already marked out a path which threaten to imprison my future. Furthermore, if I must be a slave to habit, then let me be a slave to good habit. My bad habits must be destroyed and new furrows prepared for good seed. I will form good habits and become their slaves, and it is another of nature's laws that only a habit can subdue another habit. Thus, a new and good habit is born, for whenever an act becomes easy through constant repetition, it becomes a pleasure to perform. And if it is a pleasure to perform, then it is man's nature to perform it often. When it is performed often, it will become a habit, and I will become its slave. And since it is a good habit, this is my will. And that's what I was thinking. I'm like, okay, there are good habits out there. My ice baths, not going on my phone for the start of the morning, journaling, working out, studying, reading. And a lot of the time, you're also battling these bad habits, and you can't get caught up like I was in the idea of like, how do I break all my habits? How do I like stay conscious all the time? Because you can't do it. Like, you will, by trying to stay conscious all the time, you're going to tire your brain so much that you're going to go unconscious to your actual behaviors. But because this is too much of a cognitive load, and constantly making conscious decisions can lead to mental fatigue, it's important to find a balance between conscious awareness and effective automation. So one of the really key lines here is, my bad habits must be destroyed and new what is it? For it is another of nature's laws that only a habit can be subdued by another habit. So if you have a bad habit, if you spend your evenings watching TV, if you scroll on social media too much, the key isn't necessarily to abstain from it, but to replace that habit with something you enjoy more. To, instead of going and watching TV or not knowing what to do after work, go for a walk, play a board game, go talk to people. Like, your brain kind of wants something to do. You could even meditate in that time, but you need to replace your bad habits with good ones. Instead, for me, one of the ones I had to do was, at night, if I was working really hard and I was just trying to get more and more stuff done, I'd get stressed out and then like stressy. And when that time came around and it was like 11 o'clock at night, and I started craving sweets or craving like dopamine, I use that as a trigger to be like, okay, it's just time to go to bed. I'm not gonna like, I'm not putting in good quality work. I'm gonna go rest, and yeah, I'm gonna like I'm not gonna just be here because I know, yeah, if I don't, I might close the fridge door one time and go back and sit in my chair and continue to work, but then I'm gonna go unconscious again and I'm gonna go back to the fridge, and there's only so many times you're gonna close the door on the fridge. I mean, eventually you're gonna have something in there. You're gonna start eating after you should be eating, which is also detrimental because Andrew Huberman talks about this, in order to maximize the human growth hormone released during the time when you're sleeping, which is when a lot of it is released, you want to have a low blood sugar level. So not eating right before bed actually helps you recover better from the day and be more well rested. So one thing I found is I would keep going back to the fridge. I would keep like looking for something to eat to get that dopamine, and I was having trouble I wasn't really able to subdue that habit. So I replaced it with the habit of I'm just gonna go to bed. I'm just gonna go to sleep because I just put my phone down. I go upstairs. I lie in bed, and I just tell myself I'm not gonna get out of bed. Then eventually I'll fall asleep, and I won't wind up eating, and then I'm not gonna be stress eating at all, and I'll lose weight. And that's one of the healthier things I've substituted in there. In order to break the habit of going on my phone as much, which I've been doing for the detoxing, I've replaced it with going for walks outside, petting my cats, like things that I actually enjoy doing, meditating, reading. There are some points in time where, especially this morning, where I'll have like a video clip in mind where something in my environment just sparked it off, and I'll have this impulse to go watch the video clip. Like last night, my sister's in Hawaii right now, and she was hiking by herself. I'm like, you have to be careful. Like, you could get killed out there. And she's like, nah, I'll be fine. I'm like, I don't think you've watched enough Criminal Minds episodes. In the moment I said that, I was like, I wanted to go watch Criminal Minds. And for the next hour or two, I just had this thought in the back of my head of, let's go watch Criminal Minds. I'm like, no, like that's not what I'm doing right now. I'm being productive. So instead, what I did is I played with my cats. I started rereading Levels of Energy and decided to like, let's do productive habits. It's not the most productive thing. I'm not sure how well this fits in with screen addiction, but my phone memory storage is getting used up. So I've been spending about half hour a day going through it and starting at the back of my camera roll and looking through all the stuff and kind of using it as a time to reflect on where I've come from, how far I've gone. And I look back at old to-do lists I had, old goals I've set, and I'm just amazed at how much I've actually gotten done. Sometimes I'll forget about it, but one of them was quit watching TV. I haven't watched TV, like I'll occasionally go into little spurts where I'll watch a TV series for a day or two, and then I'll be like, okay, come on, this is just stupid, I'm wasting my time, I'll stop doing it. But back then I would binge whole series and just over and over again. I had quit caffeine. Like, I can't even express how many journal entries I had talking about how I was going to quit caffeine this time. This time I was finally going to quit smoking. I was finally going to quit weed. And looking back, I'm like, I did it. Like, it's very helpful, and it's nice to see how my life is progressing, but at the same time, I do just have a lot of random photos and multiple photos on my phone. So going through them and deleting them is nice. And I also enjoy it because the more you walk the pathway to a memory, the more you'll actually remember it. So I do enjoy flipping through my camera roll and remembering all those things that I've done, remembering the different parts of my life and reflecting upon them. Because the more I do it, the better sense I will have of that memory, and I won't necessarily lose it. So I do curate my camera roll to the good memories, and I delete a lot of the bad ones off of there. And at the time, I can't really tell what are the good ones and what are the bad ones when I'm taking the photos, but I more so look back on my camera and I see which ones make me happy and which ones don't. And the ones that don't make me happy, I just delete off. But I'm about a third of the way through, and over the past week and a half, I've spent like 2-3 hours doing this. But it's been something I've been wanting to do for ages, but I have been putting it off because there's been ways to get more dopamine. And now that I'm detoxing from it, these chores, these tasks on my to-do list that I would like to get done, but somehow never seem to actually get done. I'm now like, oh my God, I could do that task. Like I could do this. And actually doing a task versus sitting down and doing nothing and just thinking seems like such a, oh my God, I could go do the litter box right now, man. Like, and I do get that part of this experiment is to detox fully off of it, which is why I do make sure I have periods of time where I'm not thinking, where I'm fully present. And that's one last thing I want to bring up is even though you cannot be 100% conscious throughout your whole day, you still cannot even be 100%. It's not even necessarily good to be 100% present throughout the whole day. And why this is because you need time to reflect upon your day, to think about areas you can improve, to think about and plan for the future, to plan and notice your habits and see patterns at play. And when you're doing that, you're not necessarily focusing on your breath. So you do need time to relax, to reflect, and you do need time to be present. So for me, right now, I schedule time to reflect upon my day. And that's one thing I'm making more effort in going forward is I'm going to be adding a 1 hour block at the end of it where I'm not even on my phone or any technology, and that time is for me to reflect. And I know I talk about getting off your phone an hour before bed or getting off your computer an hour before bed, but I'm awfully bad at that one. I normally get lost in work and then I look up and I'm like, oh, it's getting late, and then I'll go read. But being more conscious, being more awake, I'm going to actively have the intent of spending the hour before bed to reflect. And then the hour in the morning, it's like, I don't even miss it anymore. I mean, I'll wake up, I'll play with my cats a little, I'll read a little bit of a book, and I'll go make breakfast. And it just sets you up so well not going on your phone for the first couple minutes of the day, first hour of the day, and I really enjoy it. Let's see what else. Yeah, I mean, even though it's not necessarily extremely beneficial to be, I forgot the word, be conscious for the whole day, I feel like I've gotten to this point where I can be conscious for 20 to 30% of my day, and I can be present for about 50 to 60% of my day. And I mean, coming from where I originally was, it's really amazing. And for all those wondering how to be more present, you can focus on your breath and using your breath as an anchor point to keep you in the present. And using it that way, it disrupts automatic thoughts. It disrupts automatic behaviors that you might have. So if you notice yourself starting down a bad habit, if you notice yourself going to the fridge after you had dinner, if you notice yourself, I don't know, wanting to pick up that vape, try breathing, focus on your breath, disrupt the pattern. If you want to take this to the extreme, go take a cold shower, because when you're in the cold, you really do bring your attention onto your breath as a way to come into the present and stop yourself from hyperventilating. But anyways, that's reflection for day 5, and I'll catch you tomorrow.